One. Hello. It's Emma Holmes at Rockstar HQ, and I am joined. Let's see if I get this the right way around. I am joined. Yay! I did it! Look, I'm really rubbish at this mirroring thing. By the gorgeous Naomi Gilmour this morning, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of different things: websites and design, and Naomi's story, and so much more. It's going to be amazing. Hi, Naomi.
Good morning, Emma. Good morning, everybody.
How's you?
Yeah, good.
Good. So we've got Emma on. If you're coming and joining us live, come and jump into the comments and say hi. It would be lovely to see who's joining us. We'll give in a couple of seconds before we jump in there, just to see who's coming to join us on the live stream. And yes, we are streaming fine. Just checking. Coolio. So, gorgeous girl, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, wow. Where do I start? So I work in sunny Cheshire from home. I'm a single mom, two girls, Molly and Ruby, who are 12 and 8, and spend my days working predominantly online, designing websites and working with small businesses. I work with women in business mainly. So I have been self-employed now I'm in my 17th year, would you believe? I'm self-employed.
You're not old enough to be in your 70s.
I actually started my first business on the 1st of January in 2000.
Fantastic.
Yeah, still. So I've had a couple of businesses before this one. Branching Out was born in 2010. So I've kind of been through a lot of journeys. The roller coaster of entrepreneurship as is, and I've felt probably most of the bumps and the highs and the lows of it all, really, which has led me to kind of where I am now and doing what I do and actually doing what I really love. So I think
tell us what happened then. Where did you start in 2000? What did you start?
So my background, I used to be in national accounts for hotels. So my background was kind of in sales. And I used to travel up and down the country, and I actually used to work with kind of booking agents things. So my first business, I actually set up a hotel booking agency, and then had that for 5 years, and then decided to follow my dream of my love of home interiors, which was kind of a hobby of mine. I loved art and home interiors and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to open a shop, and to cut a very long story very short, I had a shop. I was probably one of the first sellers on eBay, and I was very lucky, very blessed to kind of fall on a product range that was really successful. And I went from working, in shop premises. I went home for a while when my daughters were very young and worked from home for a bit. And then I actually went that big that I started to import from China. So in 2009, I brought 40 containers in from China, turned over nearly just under £1 million in turnover. So business it just went massive. And then I felt the pain of that as well. If you read about me on my website, it's a story best told over a bottle of wine or maybe a cup of tea. But just as I was going through a divorce, I actually had some problems with China, with shipments and all that kind of thing. And I put it into liquidation in 2010. And then kind of went, oh my goodness. So I'd kind of gone from right up there to, it was like my whole world changed. And then I kind of just thought, what am I going to do now? And I realised that my strength was in the fact that I could grow online businesses. I understand the internet. And so that's why Branching Out was born, really, to help other businesses achieve what I'd achieved in terms of the kind of online presence, driving sales and all that kind of stuff. And that's changed and evolved. So I used to do a lot of social media training, Google ads and all that kind of thing. Whereas now I predominantly spend my time through the kind of heart centre of your business, your website, and working from your website out the other way, really. So that's where my focus is. Yeah.
So how did you get yourself off your bottom in 2010? Because I'm sure that you landed a little bit, boosh on the touche
Yeah.
And thought,
yeah. And I really did, because I went, as I said, I was living in a rented house. I was going through my divorce, and, you know, I went from just being, you know, money was no, you know, I didn't have any money issues or anything else. Going from that to actually bailiffs came and knocked on the door and took my car away. And that was my lowest point. I remember just sitting on the kitchen floor of just the feel of failure. I felt like a failure. I know now that I wasn't, and it was just part of my journey. But I think almost sometimes we have to experience those kinds of, you know, devastating things that happen to kind of sort of have the gratitude for what we do have. And, you know, what that did is really took me within of looking at where I was and what I wanted to do. And I do remember my dad telling me to go and get a proper job, you know, and particularly because I had 2 children to support as well.
I was just going to say, how old were they? Because they must have been really
so they were 1 and 5 at the time. Wow. Yeah. So it was actually 2 and 6, probably, something like that. They were very small. So the kind of responsibility of that, of how was I going to keep a roof over their head, and, you know, I couldn't even get them to school, I have no car. And I actually borrowed £3,000 off my sister and bought a little Mini I had covered in branching out and razzed around in that for 3 years, while I kind of like, that was like my next stepping stone. But it was about belief. I knew deep, you know, in my heart that I could achieve it again, you know what I mean, that I could start again, and that and they're a big driver for, as well, of the fact that, you know, the sort of lessons that I give to them in daily life.
Yeah, absolutely. So where did branching out come from? So you looked at your skill set while weeping on the floor in the kitchen.
It did take me a few weeks, I have to say, of weeping on the floor in the kitchen. So I kind of looked at my skill set. I think then I was in the place of not feeling good enough. I'd lost a lot of confidence through the business going, kind of the feelings of failure and everything else. I kind of sold stuff on eBay to financially keep myself going, the kind of stuff that I knew how to do very easily. So that sort of kept me afloat while I was kind of thinking of what next and how do I do this. And when I first started out, you know, I very much undersold myself. I didn't have that self-worth, and I think that just comes with, you know, obviously the people that you're connected with, the people that you surround yourself with, or lift you higher and you know, lift you to where you want to go. I was kind of over delivering, underselling in the early days. I don't do that anymore. It is about kind of valuing what you do, and again, that does come with the kind of groups and your community that you're in. I think your tribe, I guess you call it.
Yeah. And do you remember those first websites you worked on?
Yes.
And do you look back at well, are they still there?
Most of them have kind of evolved and changed. There might be a couple still out there. There might be a couple still out there. Yeah. So I think it's just all a journey, isn't it? Everything, you know, it's all about the life lessons. I remember one person saying to me very early on in this business she used the word, lovely lady called Sharon Curran, and she used the word blessings, of always look for the blessing in the lesson. And that's really something that I've always carried with me, of when you get those hits in business, of actually just to think, okay, what have I learned from this? And I still get them now, you know, the universe still delivers them, of, you know, where you've maybe underquoted on a project, or, you know, something's taken you longer than you thought it would be, or, you know, and they come and actually they just come stronger, don't they? If you don't listen the first time, then the lesson will come a little bit louder next time. But it's just about, I suppose, sort of taking note of that and learning from that and moving forwards again. So, but I'm still standing 17 years on, or sitting.
Yeah, it's an epic story, because it's a story that takes a lot of resilience, and, you know, I find you very, very inspirational, because you have been through the mill in many ways. And I know that when you are someone that's been through the mill, you know, I won't sort of use the word brave, because in that moment you never feel brave, because you're just dealing with what has been shoved at your plate the dog's coming to join us. What has been shoved at your plate at any particular time? But, you know, your resilience is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Emma.
You're amazingly resilient. What I would like to ask you is, when you start working with someone, other than me that goes, I really want this and I need it right now. What sort of process do you go through to help tease out of them what they want from their web presence?
Okay, so I've been told that I'm quite intuitive in the way that I work. So it will usually come, there's not kind of like piles of questionnaires or anything like that. For me, it is usually really client's personality, so somebody's personality, because for me it is about bringing that across loud and clear in your branding and on your website. So, and also kind of bringing some of their vision to life. So I think what a lot of kind of web designers do is create a website and then kind of go, ta-da, there it is. Yeah. For me, it's about having a bit more of an open consultative sort of process and being able to connect with the person that I'm building a website for. And very often, you know, I'll even look at what people are wearing. Yesterday I was chatting to somebody, noticing wallpaper and kind of curtains and things in the background. It's about, for me, getting that look and feel right, so that when somebody is coming to your website, that they're totally connected to the person who is behind that website, as opposed to coming to a digital presence that doesn't kind of reflect them. So, you know, I was chatting to somebody yesterday saying, you know, like, give me, if you've been on a website, it might be a product that you love, or, you know, where you like to do shopping, or whatever that is. If you come across websites that you love, just ping them through to me. Or, you know, if you see an image that you love out there, it's about me getting in your head of being able to bring your vision to life. And that's, you know, and obviously I put my own stuff in there, particularly things like customer journey and making sure that it's easy to navigate and that people are going to be engaged on the site. So that's kind of all my stuff. But I think it really, from client's perspective, it's about making sure that it's totally theirs and that it's not, you know, a template website that looks like anybody else's template website, that it is really, it's got that sense of belonging to them, I guess.
Yeah. So it doesn't just look like we've picked a theme and we've thrown everything in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that what you're really, really good at is bringing a soul to a site.
Yeah.
So that it does feel like it is something more palpable.
Yeah. And I think, you know, these days people, you know, when you're online, people can click away so easily. So actually, if somebody, you've got to have a website that somebody can connect with and that somebody can move through, and that you're actually capturing them into that journey, that they're not just thinking, oh, I don't get where I'm meant to go. And it's almost things like, you know, telling them what you want them to do next, making it really obvious. But at the same time, making sure that you've got that consistency with it all and not just bombarding with a load of info and stuff. So I always go with your saying of keep it simple, make it significant. And that's, you know, with web design, that's key, really.
Yeah. I like to think of mine a little bit like, it's a little bit like an Alice in Wonderland. You've got 4 options when you get to my homepage. That's it. The 4 options, but you're going to fall into a hole. Yeah. You're going to fall into a rabbit hole.
Drawing them into the journey, and the deeper they want to go in, that there's pages and pages behind that, but not just going, there's all the information, because they don't need it all rammed in the face. They will experience that journey through the site. Yeah.
Cool. So what is your favourite part of developing a new website?
Oh, sending it live. Love it. So in terms of development, I suppose the kind of biggest chunk that I do is that first stage. So that kind of getting the design. So how I work is I'll do kind of a one-to-one like this online, get a real sort of feel of what it's all going to be like. And I've usually got quite a photographic vision. So once I've spoken to a client, I will actually have in my head what it is going to look like.
Does that ever really frustrate you, though, if it doesn't quite get onto the screen in the same way it's in your head?
No, it doesn't actually, because sometimes on the next stage we can tweak and change anyway. But I do the same when I'm decorating at home. I can look at a blank room and I can have the vision of it all done. So it's the same sort of thing, I guess. But no, I remember. So I do really have that kind of that vision, if you like, of what it's look and feel. So for me, it's that first build of getting it there and then sharing it with the client at that stage, because that's when they really start to see that something's becoming real. And then we do kind of a process of adding content and tweaking and changing, and they get access to the site at that point so they can see what I'm working on in the background. So I think that's sort of the first bit is really like the bulk of bringing that vision forward, and then can we have like all the kind of, I suppose, the tweaking, and it's almost like snagging of everything in between. And then when it goes live, for me, it's amazing to see it out there online, and then being proud of it and being able to share it with the world. That gives me a really good buzz.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the simile, I suppose, is that really exciting bit at the beginning is like the jigsaw, and you've just finished the outer line. Yeah. And you've got all the outside pieces in place.
Yeah, good amount.
And then that last piece that goes in where you go, ta-da!
Yeah.
It's where you put it out to the world.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, it's an exciting process developing a website. I know that it's an exciting process, and I've just got to make you mindful that mine's nearly 6 months old now. So,
and I'm waiting for the message of I want to change. And that's actually a really good point, because I talk all the time that your website is your shop front to the world, and you wouldn't have a shop front that you just, you know, set up a business and you open a shop and you just leave it as it is. Yeah. And I think with websites, people forget, or they just choose to kind of go, oh, I'm just not even going to think about it and it'll go away. But you wouldn't have a shop front that you didn't redress. You know, you change it every season, wouldn't you? And update it. And I think, you know, the same applies to websites. I'm not saying like completely change like you do, Emma. But, you know, things like updating blogs, updating content, images, videos, making it engaging, making it fresh, and giving people a reason to come back for more. Yeah. As opposed to, well, there's no point in going looking at her site because it looks like it did a year ago, or 2 years, or in some cases 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, when people have the site developed and just leave it. So I think, you know, I'm actually rebuilding my website at the moment. I know. I'm really enjoying that process too with my rebrand. I know it's always quite a little bit strange when I'm doing my own, but it's harder to do your own than it is to do other people's. So that's the same with everything, isn't it, in life? Yeah. But I think it is, you know, of anybody that's kind of listening or watching the replay or anything, is to actually just think about what your website looks like currently and what that is saying to, you know, people that are clicking on there. It is about, I think what tends to happen is people kind of have the website here and have the social media over here, and then they have their email marketing over here, and they treat it all very separately instead of, you know, it is part of the same thing. And, you know, just imagine it as sort of, I mean, I talk about the internet being like an ocean of fish. And if you've got a fish bowl, it's about getting the right fish for you into this fish bowl, and your website and your social media and your email marketing are all in that. It's, you know, it can be viewed 360 degrees, all of it, and it all should be connected and work, you know, all in the same direction, all consistent. And I think very often that's forgotten, that people focus on the social media and then they'll think, oh God, I can't post a blog because someone's going to click on it and the website looks rubbish. Or, you know, I'm going to send an email out, but actually if they click on the website, you know, they suffer from website shame. We've talked about that before, of kind of the cringe bit. So unless you're kind of if you're really proud of your website and it is up to date, then it really helps you with your social, because you can shout about it. And therefore, you know, it helps with all your posts and your newsletters and everything. So it is really, you know, I see it as the core and the kind of heart center of your online presence is how I would describe it.
Absolutely. What do you think are the biggest key points to think about when you're thinking about your website, when you're looking at it? When, you know, there might be people watching now that go, yeah, I'm a website shame. Hands up, that's me. What would you say sort of the key points for you to think about when you're thinking about having that objective look at your website?
Okay, so I would actually almost put yourself in what tends to happen is you're very close to it. So actually put yourself in a customer's kind of head of sit and pretend it's not yours, and kind of go onto it. So actually, when they get to that homepage, what are you telling them? What do you want them to do? Is it easy to navigate? Is the information up to date? Very often, the information on websites about your products, about your services are out of date, and therefore that's what you're going to attract in. So does it totally reflect the stuff that you want to attract to your business, number one. And then I would say things like, I know you talk a lot about your About You page. You know, are you in it? Can you find your name? Can somebody connect with you? You know, it's very easily forgotten. And then making sure that there's a call to action in there. So engaging information in terms of a blog. If you haven't got a blog, just a call to action so that they can actually get in touch with you. And again, that's often missing. Things like, you know, links to your social media, very often they can be broken, or they're going off onto social media. They're going off onto social media, but they can't get back to your website. So it's making sure that you have them opening in separate windows so that they're still staying on your website, but they can get over to Facebook or Twitter or wherever you're sending them to. So it's just about kind of, there are some basic stuff that you can do. Just look at that customer journey of, you know, if they click on that, what experience are they having? And is it cringeworthy, or is there tweaks that I can do to it to make it better?
Yeah, it's amazing how many people have buttons on their website
that don't work. It is.
That's the real basic for you to go through and check, isn't it?
Check all your links. And things like broken links, you know, where they're just going off to error pages. Very often in things like blog articles, that sort of stuff comes up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is to make sure your website's mobile. So, you know, 65% is now viewed on mobile, and where it was sort of like I used to share that it was preferable to have a mobile optimized site, now it affects your Google ranking as well. So super, super important that it's mobile optimized.
Yeah. And you talk about having that 360 view that includes your newsletter, your social media. What are the top tips for keeping that level of consistency? Is it all about look and feel? Is it about language? Is it about a combination?
It's about a combination. So I would say in terms about language and your kind of content is making sure that that connects with your crowd so that that is relevant to them. But there's a balance between that, and I call it my new ooh la la, of actually having images that are going to grab attention. So, you know, if people are scrolling through news feeds, that they recognise that it's you and that it's giving, you know, it's got to stop. It's got to stop and grab them. Because when people are flicking through on mobile device, unless your image is kind of going stop, then your content can be as great as it can be, but actually no one's going to read it because it's not creating impact. So there's a balance between the two with that. And I'm a big fan, you know, most of the sites that I build are very visual. Very visual, very, you know, the personality comes out in it. They've got, you know, video where possible in, engaging with a balance of, you know, valuable content that connects, that can then all be shared out on social media. So if you've got really good content on a website, if you've got great images and you've got great, you know, blog posts and content, you can just copy paste some of that out into social posts. It makes it really, really easy. And, you know, I think a lot of people make it really hard work of thinking, oh my God, I need a big social media strategy and all these posts together, and then my website is over here, and then it all gets really overwhelming. But when you look at it from your website out, your content is already, you know, a lot of it is already there. So produce for your website and then use all that to distribute elsewhere online. Yeah,
absolutely. And when you look at, you know, somebody, and say somebody, I know that you're really, really great at the taking what you've got and making it something brand new and amazing. That kind of up leveling in business, that kind of next stage.
Adding sparkle, Emma, adding sparkle.
Well, it's more than that. It's more than sparkle. It's really, you know, it really sort of jettisons them off into a whole new arena within their business. So when you're looking for that first time and you've had that call and you've got a bit of a vision for it, are you then drawing into their social media to see whether there's personality there? Are you looking at whether they've got that newsletter? Are you looking at their 360, or are you
tend to create the vision first so that I am not then led by other stuff that they're doing? So I would create my own vision, and then so I will, for example, if their website doesn't represent them at all, and they're saying, you know, I've been working on my Facebook page, then I can go and look at the Facebook page, which will give me a clear indication of the way that they want to be, their new way that they've managed to change, because it's easy to do on Facebook and it's not easy to do on the website. So that will give me indication of kind of the look and feel it's about getting into their head. So the stuff that they're recently sharing out, I will totally look at that to give me a bigger picture. There's no point in me looking at, you know, a Twitter feed if I've not 2 years. It's all about the relevance. So I will carry on while Emma's sorting.
Sorry, dog's thrown out. I'm back.
My kittens are thrown out while I'm on this call because they'd be like charging on the desk here. So yeah, I think where it's going to be beneficial to me and to them, I will totally look at all the 360, and then moving forward, it's very often that once a website will go live, that I'll do some ongoing support and retainers and things where people, I'm doing some at the moment, you know, for kind of like email automation, sales pages, that kind of thing, to kind of drive and move the business forward. But it always for me now comes from website out as opposed to the other stuff.
Yeah, and I think that that's really sensible because that's your home and that's your hub.
Yeah.
And that's the one place that you've got control of, which brings us nicely into the fact that lots of people feel like they have no control over their website, because there's lots of people out there that make sure that you don't have control over your own website. Right. And I know that this really, really annoys me and you.
Yes. So what tends to happen is, particularly, maybe I shouldn't kind of tar them with it, but like from a design point of view, where you've got kind of, you know, designers that are quite precious about the design aspects, therefore lock down control of a website to not allow the person that should own the website to be able to update it. And, you know, because of the fast pace of everything now, because you need to have your website that's engaging, you need to have access to it, you need to be able to update it, you need to be able to put content on there. Even if you choose not to, you need to have control of a website. So, you know, I've got websites that I manage, as you know, and I do all the updates on, but all my clients have full access to update everything for their own and full ownership of everything. And I now have, I don't know whether you even know this, that I have a web academy that once I've built a website, there's a web academy behind it as well. So you get access to that, which will show you how to completely change your website moving forward if you want. So for me, it's, and I know for you, it's a bugbear.
Yeah.
I was talking, well, we were both talking to somebody recently who was kind of like, you know, if you don't pay £100 a month over 12 months, you can't have your website updated. And, you know, there's lots of horror stories of people who pay thousands of pounds for a website when they first start in business. You know, I've heard of scary figures, and then just no ability to, you know, built on very coded technology that they can't update, blinded with tech talk and all the other stuff that comes with it. And so it's almost a bit scaremongery, a lot of it. And I think sometimes when it comes to tech, you know how much I love tech, and I'm a geek, a girly geek, and I love it all. But I think a lot of people, when you don't understand it, it's easy to get scaremongered into, you know, if you've got to move a website from, if you want to change your domain name, it's like uber massive. None of it is uber massive. Everything's achievable. And it's not scary. It's just, you know, it's just a process like anything else. But I think with tech, that it's very often kind of like just feels too big to kind of move or change. So then you just get stuck in this, it'll have to do for now because it's too big and scary and expensive to move it. And that isn't the case. It's not the case at all. So,
and I think that for lots of people, you know, they're frightened of breaking their website. Not easy to do, is it?
No, and even if it does get broken temporarily, there's backups that can easily
go. As long as you're backing up.
Yeah. And that's what I would say to everybody is make sure that you are backing up. And if you haven't got control of it, make sure that your web designer or your hosting company is backing up. Because, you know, tech does go down like everything else, but it is, you know, you definitely need control of it. As I say, whether you want to update it or you don't want to update it, you still need to have control. Because as you said before, that's the one thing you do have control of. You don't have control of, you know, your Facebook page because it could get taken down, or your Twitter feed, or things could change, or but you do have control, or you should have control of your website.
Absolutely. Because without that, you know, it is.
Yeah, well, we talked, didn't we, a few weeks ago about, you know, the stuff that's like really held to ransom of, you know what, if you want to move your site, I'm making it really difficult, and it should not be. It's
really icky. And yeah, I want people to know that actually moving your site isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
That updating your site isn't as scary as you think. I've had no formal web training. You know, I've tinkered, I've gone in, I've given it a go, I've seen what happens. If I break it, I've gone, Naomi! I've broken it! But, you know, it's not easy to break a website.
No.
It's certainly not as easy as you think it is.
No.
And if you can learn to do the stuff that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, that completely sets you free. Because then you don't have to sit and go, well, I want to sell this thing, but I'm going to have to wait for somebody else to do this and this before I can sell anything. Or I want to offer this free resource, but I can't do it until I've got this and this.
Yeah. So, and your power comes with that control, doesn't it? You know, so in terms of like you being able to react straight away to do what you need to do. And I work with a lot of people where I'm kind of building sales pages, but then showing them how to change them so they can duplicate them and do the next one. You know, and I'm all for kind of handing back, of kind of helping and guiding, but then handing back to next time you do it, you can just take the images out and copy and paste them from somewhere else and change your text and stuff. So you've almost got a bit of a template to work with moving forwards if the first one feels super scary. And the same applies for your website. You know, I run an online training program building to help people build websites, and it's the same thing, that they've just got that skill set. Then moving forwards, if I can change stuff, I've got that control.
It's empowerment, isn't it? You're empowering them to be able to get in and do what they want to do with their own site, which should be their own, which they should have care and control of. And I think that empowerment and that freedom to go on a Sunday afternoon, I've got this that I want to get out there, and be able to just do it. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. And even things like putting your blog posts on and making sure you've got sign-ups to freebies at the bottom of them, and, you know, simple things like that. Why are you looking at me like that, Emma?
I might need to use Magic Action Box a little bit more.
You've got the code.
Anyway, on that note,
moving on.
If you were going to
we can all be guilty of that sometimes, can't we? You know what I mean? But it is just about having that ability that if you want to put it in, you've got the knowledge, you've got the power to do that. Or if you don't, that you've got somebody that you can rely on that's, you know, like you said before, of us, do this, you know, help, yeah.
The helpline.
And I would say, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I obviously talk to a lot of people before, as I'm building sites and things. I've always, you know, whoever you go with to have a website developed, always look at their website. So it's amazing how many people like kind of get a website that they don't love, and then actually when they go back and look at who was designing it for them and think, that didn't resonate with me at all. So, you know, look at that. Look at it. You know, you're wanting people to come to your website to connect with you. The right people. The same applies. You've really got to think about what the style that they work in and whether that's for you too.
And I think that the other interesting thing that you should be mindful of as you're looking at that is go and look at the websites that they've developed.
Yeah.
Because I know that I've worked with clients before, and we've looked at people who were going to build a website, and we looked at their portfolio, and it was literally the same website in different colours with different logos. Yeah.
And there's a lot of that out there. There is a lot of templated stuff. You know, you can work with commercial themes, which is what I work with, so that they're easy for everybody to update themselves.
Yeah.
You don't all need to look the same.
No.
But what tends to happen where designers are working with like a coded theme, they just literally use that same one on, like you say, change the colours, change the images, and keep it the same across the board. Mm-hmm. But it's there's a difference actually between graphic designers who don't design websites, and it's really looking at the journey of where they've come from. So I'm just doing my new website and my new content, and I've described myself as no ordinary web designer. And it's because I haven't actually come from a graphics design background. I've come from an online marketing background where it's about driving traffic, driving sales, understanding the internet, connecting, building community, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I'm good at design and I can create those visions. And I work with some really talented people like Vicky Nicholson, who's amazing at branding, and bringing that together is amazing. You know what I mean? It creates amazing websites because you've got the kind of, it's coming from all ways around, and writers and you know, there's super talented people out there to help and support people. But it is about looking at, you know, are they a graphic designer who are going to design you an online brochure that no one's going to see? Because you can have the most amazingly designed website, but if no one's going to see it, you might as well have a pile of brochures that next to your desk that no one's ever going to see. So what's the point in that? There's no point, is there?
Yeah, you know, that's a really, really good point, because you do a lot of design, but you do also work with designers.
Correct, yeah.
So, you know, it'll depend on client need, I presume.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely does. So I work with Vicky on quite a lot of projects where she's doing the branding and I'm doing the build. And then equally, I do a lot where people have already got branding, they've already got a logo, and I'll just, you know, work with what they've already got in terms of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. What would you say then is the 5 most important things to think about when you're thinking about your website presence?
Okay, so number 1 is that you can update it for yourself and you've got control of it, because without that, you can't move forward with it. Number 2, I would think about making sure that it's in WordPress, so that you can update it, and also because it's in terms of the SEO side of things. If you don't know what SEO is, search engine optimization, making sure you're showing up in Google. Google like WordPress, it's easy to update. There's loads of gadgets in there that you can use, Yoast or all-in-one SEO, that help you to kind of optimize stuff to get seen in Google. Number 3 would definitely be sort of content and image to make sure that it's relevant to you. And then I would go number 4. These aren't in order, by the way. Okay. Needs to be mobile optimized, because without that, I was on the site last night and I can't remember which site it was, and I was scrolling all over the screen on the mobile because just couldn't get to it. So it was just displaying one bit of the website. And as I say, 65 to 70% are now viewed on mobile. So that's massive in terms of your traffic. And also to consider loading speed. So loading speed is huge, because actually if you've got a website that is taking oodles of time to load, what do you do?
People get bored and disappear, don't they?
Where you're not even going to wait to get in the site. So if you've got a website, particularly if it's a WordPress, make sure the images are loaded as JPEGs and not PNGs. There's different things that you can do to check the speed of your site.
Some people go with them words. It's an image file type, isn't it?
It is. So a JPEG is one image type and a PNG is another image type. And PNGs take up far more space than JPEGs. So there's a balance. Sometimes you have to use PNGs on a website. If you need transparent backgrounds or anything like that, you need to use a PNG, but they do take more space. So I've worked with websites where I've cut the loading speed down to like a third by just working with images and reducing the size of the images that don't need to be on there. But that's actually a big lesson if anybody has got a website that they're kind of managing themselves, of just moving forward. When you're putting an image on, put it on as a JPEG, because it'll just help the speed of it on each page. And that's a biggie, because like you say, somebody will just click away. If
something like Canva, you get it as an option, don't you, whether to download.
Yeah, actually, when you go to download, it always says PNG recommend. It's got recommended in the background, so you're almost led to download it as that. So if you're using it for a social post, do it as a PNG. If you're using it for your website, download it a JPEG. And as I said, the only exception is if you need a transparent background.
Right.
You're working on the web, it has to be a PNG.
Cool. And if we were thinking about quick things that we could do to improve our SEO.
Okay.
So it's a big buzz one, and everybody goes, I really need to work on my SEO. And then they go, but I've got no idea what I'm going to do or what it means or anything.
Correct. Okay. So the biggest thing you can do, the biggest and quickest thing you can do is look at your images again. So if you're on WordPress, you can go into your media file and you can go to your image, and on your image, it will have the file name and it'll have something called alt tag. And very often they are called IMG001642, or they might be called Emma, or whatever that image is called, because we've saved it as what we recognize it to be, and then we've uploaded it to the website. But when you upload it to the website, that's what Google sees. So if you're wanting to be found for IMG001165, that's fabulous. But if you're wanting to be found for a keyword or phrase, then that's not so good. So file names are one, and alt tags. So what you can put in an alt tag is like keywords. Mm-hmm. So when I talk about keywords, don't want everybody to go and be like super spammy and go like, whatever it is. Like, say, I'm going to use bath bombs as an example. Don't use bath bombs in every. It is about thinking about what people are actually putting into Google. So the same applies for your alt tag, and also for your content. So your keywords on page. I would always write for the reader. So I would always write with reader in mind, not keywords, and then go back and think about how you can incorporate keywords and phrases into any copy afterwards. But it needs to be engaging before it's optimized. I would always go for more engaging.
Boring words coming next.
And then what's going to happen then is somebody's going to come onto your website. It's going to be boring. So they're going to click away. And that in itself increases something called a bounce rate, and as the bounce rate increases, Google less likely to show you up, so it's actually counterproductive anyway to do that. So it's about being engaging, number one, and then going in and optimizing. So keywords and phrases, think about what people are putting into Google. And I joke because I always say I'm going to write a blog that says I Googled should I get divorced, because I actually did. And that is a prime example of when people are in a place or, whatever it is, they ask Google the question. So they very often won't be Googling looking for the kind of things that you think that they'll be looking for. They're usually Googling their pain point or a solution to their problem of how do I do this?
How do I, or should I, or could I?
So think about that whole phrase, not just kind of keywords. And I'll give you, so I used to import rattan garden furniture. I used to be number one on Google for rattan garden furniture. But I use, so the actual techie term is long tail keywords. So it's looking at that whole sentence. Long tail, just long instead of the. So I wouldn't use rattan garden furniture, because if I use rattan garden furniture, somebody could be coming to look for some really traditional raffia type furniture, and then they get to my site and mine was really modern and contemporary. Would it be right for them? So for me, it would be black rattan contemporary garden sofa or modern garden sofa. So it'd be the whole phrase, or outdoor weatherproof furniture modern, or the long phrase that goes with that. And that is what you need to focus on, which sits far better when you're writing engaging content anyway, because it forms a sentence of that. So it's relevant for product, and it's relevant for kind of pain points for services as well.
Yeah, and I think it's great as well to be mindful about what you're searching. Yeah, because you'll see what sort of things you type into Google.
One of the best things to do is, if you've got clients that ring you or come into your premises or have online chats like this, listen to what they're saying. Because it's usually, I worked with a beauty salon once, doing some one-to-one training, and I said, what do people say when they ring up? We're optimizing for fake tan. Yeah. And I said, what do they say? And they're scared because they don't know what the process is. So we did a whole page on how the process of, the kind of fear points of, do I have to be naked? And, all that kind of stuff around false tan. So think about that. It's usually the question of that first thing out of the mouth when they speak to you on the phone, when they speak to you face to face, whatever that is, just document that and learn from the kind of language that they're speaking in, which goes back to what you say about having your crowd notebook of of their problems, their frustrations, all that kind of thing. Whatever is coming out of the mouth is what is going into Google as well.
You've also got to be careful, because my son typed in, do you get different size? And the first thing it suggested was condoms.
I would imagine.
So then over breakfast, I had to explain what a condom was.
The joys of Google.
And we also had a school project about a particular animal called a thorny devil. So I had to be very, very careful as he typed that one into Google, because dropping that T, we could have ended up anywhere.
All sorts. But yeah, so, and there's lots of lessons, you know, Google stuff. You can actually, if you put, I'll share it in the link, you can put in site, there's a phrase you can put into at the top of Google, and it'll show you all the pages that you have listed in Google. Mm-hmm. But you can also do that for other websites, not just your own. So you can go and look at, you know, people in your industry, other people that you kind of, to see what they're actually ranking for. So you'll see all their submissions. So there's loads of information that you can learn from that, in terms of, you know, if you've got a competitor that's coming up on Google, and you kind of think, how are they getting up there? Then you can go and see all their pages and all their content. And what it'll do is show you that little, the little snippet that Google see of what is in there.
Make sure you do that when you're in a good place, though, because otherwise you'll get in a right huff with yourself.
And we're not doing comparisonitis there either. It's just about taking some lessons, but you're not them.
Yeah, it's about going out and doing it at the naughty bench.
Yeah. Very sneaky beaky mode, but it's not about taking on their stuff. It's just if you want a bit of knowledge of keywords and phrases. There's also a tool that Google have called it's a keyword tool that they use for their ads. Mm-hmm. So you have to set up an ad account, but you can go and research in there. So you can put a key phrase in, it'll show you what traffic's coming up. But to be honest, I actually wouldn't over worry a lot of the SEO. So people make SEO super scary. Doesn't have to be super scary. If you have got a site that's got great engaging content on there, that's getting updated regularly, that speaks to your reader, and that you're posting out on social media, don't worry about the rest of it, because it'll all come. And I think people do tend to over worry. And there's a lot of companies out there that say, I'll get your top of page one on Google. It's all, if anybody ever actually been
promise that though, can't
they? They can only promise it if it's paid ad. That's the only way. So I always say run for the hills if you get one of those emails. And usually they do it when you've bought a domain name, your database will get sold or something. So then you get bombarded with, I'll make your website.
I buy a lot of domains, as we know, right? I buy
as I do.
And I am forever. Hey, Missy, can I help you with your domain? No.
And so I'll just stop you right there. I'm a web designer.
They still try and keep going. They still try. Leave me alone. Right, I'm going to open up and see, does anybody want to ask me or Naomi anything? Would you like to come in and talk about anything at all, ask anything at all? We are here and we are open for questions. I've said that I will be interviewed. Sarah is going to interview me in the summer holidays. And I have put a thread into my hub to ask questions. And do you know what? My crowd, they are much deeper on their questions than I am with you lot.
I did notice that thread, actually. I haven't commented yet. Maybe I should.
You were waiting to see how nice I was to you today, weren't you? To decide what you were going to put right back at me.
Today first.
Morning, Margaret. It's nice to have you here. We're just opening the floor to any website questions, any online marketing questions, any SEO questions, anything that you want to ask us right now. We are here and we are happy to answer away. Anybody got anything that they want to chat about? Well, what's it say on your mug? Heart of Gold, is it?
Heart of Gold, it's my new mug.
That's lovely. We like that one. We like that.
I'm doing a talk tomorrow and I've got lots of helium balloons, so I'll maybe share a post and one of them says Heart of Gold on it. So I'm doing
maybe share a post.
Sorry?
What do you mean you'll maybe share a post?
Okay, I'll share a post. I've got lots of helium balloons to decorate this afternoon with things on, so it'll be quite exciting.
Tell us what you're doing tomorrow then.
So I'm doing a talk at the Northwest VA conference in Manchester on kind of creating an impact online. So, and I'm doing it with love heart balloons because I'm well known for having props when I talk. So it's sweets, chocolates, and love heart balloons. Gotta love that.
Don't you have a bubble machine?
I do have a bubble machine. Actually, last time I spoke at that conference, I used my bubble machine. So I can't use that tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going helium balloons instead. And
cool.
Skittles.
And Skittles.
Sweets, yeah.
As long as you don't take Marmite with you, you disgusting, dirty woman.
I love Marmite. I love Marmite. It was actually quite interesting, that post. So for those of you who hadn't seen over on my page yesterday, I went to Costa Coffee and I had Marmite on toast. It is love it or hate it. But you know what? There's a reason why the packaging is in a heart shape. Because it's lovely.
No. You've got that all wrong.
It was about 50-50 actually, those people that commented.
I'm going to put your URL for your page in there because I haven't tagged you the broadcast yet. So if anybody wants to go and have a look, she's over there.
You can comment on Marmite. Thank you.
Margaret says, how do I find optimizing words and how do I use them? I am having to try and find out about how Google Analytics works and I am really struggling.
Okay, don't really struggle, doesn't need to be a struggle. So the only thing I would be bothered about looking at in Google Analytics is your traffic overall in terms of hits to your site, and then what's called your bounce rate, because that shows you how many people are kind of coming into your site and popping off your site. So how many people are staying and being engaged, and you really want that around 50% or lower. And then look at your acquisition. So over on the left hand side of the dashboard, there is an acquisition button. And if you look at your social there, I will be looking at what traffic's coming over from your social. So just be looking at what's coming up organically on Google and what's coming over on your social, because that'll just give you a balance of your kind of traffic. But I know Emma will back me up on this, that if you get completely bombarded with Google Analytics and you've got WordPress, I would do count per day on WordPress, because it's very simple. It shows you how many people have come into your site, where they've come from, and it's not as techy as Google Analytics. And unless you're working in heavily advanced marketing, you do not need to know Google Analytics inside out and back to front. And it's not very intuitive, the way that it's structured. When you're looking at your keywords and phrases, it goes back to really what I was saying before. I'll think about the pain points. What is it that Margaret does?
She works on it with marketing for a holiday caravan site, kind of. Okay,
so there we're going to have location in there, number one. A really good way to get location in your site is to do things like testimonials from location based, so you can get a kind of location in that. Also, obviously, you're going to be featuring different locations, so that's people will be searching location and the keywords around that holiday break, won't they? They won't necessarily be searching pain points. They'll be actually searching where they want to go and what sort of place that they want to stay in. So they might be putting, near a location. Make sure that you've got those locations loaded as Google places as well, because that will help in your ranking. But I would actually just be, it could be case studies in there. It could be what's going on at the parks. You could be putting a lot of information around that, but making sure you're signing off with specific location details. Again, things like facilities. So if I was going to stay at a holiday park and, for example, I wanted it to be close to a beach or near a swimming pool or whatever else that is, of putting as much information as possible in there, because that's what people will search. And do that little exercise that I said before. If you know there's holiday parks nearby, go and have a look what they're putting into, how their pages are ranked in Google as well, to see what sort of keywords and phrases are coming through there.
Would you do local attractions as well? So, for example, if you're I'm going to use North Yorkshire in the UK because that's quite a close holiday area to me. Yeah. Would you put things like Whitby, like Flamingo Land, like Eden Camp, and all of the sort of attractions in your area in there?
You could even have a local attractions page for each one, couldn't you?
Yeah.
again, it's what we were talking about at the beginning. You don't need to bombard with it, but what you could do is, so somebody could come into the website and they could see, you know, the holiday park, then they could click on a particular word or image to take them deeper into the site that then is about what's on in the local area, but then it's got your content, but Google's still going to see that content. Another thing you can do is, so Google search page is top down, so you need to think about what your title of your page is, name of your pages, and then also your headings. And what I don't want you to do is like put loads of big heading ones in, or with locations, but think about those are what Google sees as quite important. So making sure that the location is in at least one of those, so that it's picking up that kind of data. But I think that's a really good idea, Emma, in terms of being able to click on, see what's around the area, and then, you know, click on your get testimonials. It would be wrong
to have those as header ones. So if you wanted to put kind of, if we go back to North Yorkshire, you could have Whitby, Scarborough, Filey, headers, and a little bit about the beach in that area. Or
what's also key is you can put them into your main navigation, those locations as well, because then the top pages. And then you can also have like a menu at the bottom of your page, so you will see websites where they've got like all the different locations listed at the bottom. That's because it's making it more important to Google to bring it through into that homepage environment, because they see that as more important than pages further down the line.
Is that like a footer menu?
Yeah. So and you know, holiday parks, it's a different type of site than kind of a client relationship website, so you can get away with a bit more sort of functionality stuff going on at the bottom, because it doesn't need to be as flowy. You know, you can target a little bit more of that, and then make sure there's a page, you know, with the full addresses in, with those links off. So I think she's come back and said,
working on that now.
Yes,
yay! That's what we like to hear. So would anybody else like to ask us anything whilst we are around? Hey, we've done an hour.
Yes, it's flown by. It always does.
Yes. Hasn't it? Just, I've got to go and move my car because I couldn't get into a non-permit holder space when I came back earlier.
We don't want any parking tickets.
No parking tickets.
I've actually just had a parking fine because I went to park at the hospital and I must have put the reg plate in wrong on one of those parking eyes. Well, I did put it in wrong because I paid the fine and then I found the ticket and I had to put one digit out on my reg plate. So that's everybody. Make sure you put your reg. I know it was a bit of a blonde moment I was clearly having.
Well, we got one for going to somewhere where the parking meter wasn't working and we physically couldn't pay. We got a fine for not paying because we couldn't prove that the parking meter wasn't working. And we were like, well, everybody who came in at this time surely has got a ticket because the meter didn't work.
Yeah. And it's just not even worth the effort to fight, is it? You know, it's
not worth the paperwork. And they know that.
I know.
And that's what annoys me. It's like, Anyway, we will finish on that note. I think that everybody is fine and dandy.
Okay,
Thank
lovely.
you so much for joining us today.
Really lovely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Would you pop into the comments? And I know that you've got some little website tools, haven't you? Free tools.
I have, yes.
Could you pop them into the comments for anybody who would like them, and I'll transfer them over with the video over to YouTube and things so that people can get their hands on them. Thank you so much for this morning. Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Have an absolutely great day, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.